What used to be a sign of being poor, but is now a luxury or status symbol. A historic example is window glass. In the late 19th and early 20th century, flat, waveless glass was much more expensive than wavy glass. In fact, the wavier the glass, the cheaper it was. The waviest glass was called greenhouse glass and was considered just barely suitable for residential use in the cheapest houses. Wavy glass was hand-blown quickly by large numbers of glassblowers, but producing flat glass suitable for mirrors was a long, expensive process. The glass had to be cast in thick plates, then ground down, in stages, with room-sized machines that resembled giant fixed orbital sanders to produce polished plate. Even then, only the very center of the sheet was really usable for mirrors because of thickness distortion as you got closer to the edges of the sheet. Having polished plate window glass was a flex, and you see it in the highest-end mansions in the late 19th and early 20th century. It was the most expensive clear glass on the market. This completely flipped in 1950 when Pilkington perfected the float glass process. In this process, molten glass is poured out continuously onto a long trough filled with molten tin. The glass levels out due to gravity, is pulled down the trough, and is cut off in continuous sheets when it reaches the other end and has cooled enough to solidify. This is the waveless window glass we use today. Suddenly, waveless float glass became dirt cheap. The job market for sheet glass blowers collapsed, and the old inferior handmade wavy product was discontinued as sheet glass blowers abandoned the trade. Today, only a handful of manufacturers still make hand-blown sheet glass. Lambers in Germany, Saint Just in France, and hand-blown antique glass is the most expensive glass you can buy, and prized for its irregular, handmade character. Thus, the invention of float glass completely inverted both the manufacturing costs and perceived value of both flat and wavy glass. Lobsters, oysters, and caviar, oxtail, short ribs, and chicken thighs can be added to this food list too. Grew up poor, but my mom made oxtail stew probably once a month, and it was very good. And suddenly, she just never make that anymore. And I forgot about that until I read this. An older person from Eastern Canada I know said that when they were kids, if you ate lobster, you hid the shells in your garbage where your neighbors couldn't see them because it was poor people food. My father grew up during the Great Depression in southern Maine. Lobster was considered a food poor people ate where they lived. He was one of 13 kids. They caught and ate a lot of lobster. He also said it was commonly known that lobster was fed to people in jail and prison. Skirt steak. Please give us poors back this cod of meat. This is why we can't eat nice things. I was paying $1.99 a pound for skirts back in the 90s. We often had it for dinner twice a week, close to a pound just for myself. Now it's ridiculous. One reason I saw was that everyone wants it for carne asada, especially restaurants. There is a lot less skirt on a cow than most other cuts. I've tried flank, but nothing beats outside skirt. Champion branded clothing. I remember you could get Champion stuff at Kmart back in the day, and everyone made fun of you if you got clothes from Kmart. Making your own cooking stock used to mean you were using every last scrap of food, but now it means you have the free time to sit and simmer a pot for hours. Probably a foodie. Lobster. My dad was shamed because he had to eat lobster sandwiches at school. My teacher said she used to beg her mother to send her with a bologna sandwich instead of lobster. Being very slim. During very old times, if you were obese, you were well-fed and rich. I mean, you can be slim these days and seen as poor, but it's more linked to your clothing appearance, plus lack of hygiene as well, or teeth, etc. Similarly, being tan. It used to mean you were poor and had to work outdoors in the fields. Now it means you can afford a vacation to a sunny place. In Maryland, eating crabs. 40 years ago, the bay and its tributaries were bursting with crabs, big meaty ones. You could stand on a dock and dip some clinging to the piling on your dog for dinner, for free. Everybody could crab with a john boat, a homemade trot line, and some chicken necks. Easy to grab a bushel for a feast each weekend. Now the bay gives up crabs only for a short time each year. Smaller, fewer. Most brought up from the Carolinas or the Gulf. Now, if you know a waterman who can hook you up at the dock, you can get affordable crabs. But if you go out, expect to pay $185 for a dozen of jumbos, which used to be mediums back in the day. Walking everywhere. It used to be seen as something people did because they couldn't afford a car. Now people pay good money to live in walkable neighborhoods. Pulling up in a new F-150. Owning a pickup was a sign of being lower middle class, working man. They were actually an affordable vehicle. Now they're as expensive as everything else, and more likely to be a pavement princess, hockey dad cosplaying as a construction worker. There was an Onion article when I was a kid, prom date picked up in freshly waxed pickup, or something, because of the absurdity of a guy in a pickup trying to look impressive. Ripped jeans. Jeans in general. It wasn't that long ago when a rich person wouldn't be caught dead wearing denim. Men wore suits and hats to go to baseball games. Breastfeeding. Back when formula first came out, only rich women could afford it, so poor women continued to breastfeed. Now it's primarily poor women who use formula and wealthier women who breastfeed. Having a horse. Rich had cars, poor had horses. Now it's the other way around. So true, but owning a horse just makes you poor. I've worked with quite a few girls who were horse mad and worked to be able to keep the animal in the life of luxury that it had become accustomed to. Money for anything else was scarce. Shopping at thrift stores. It's infuriating walking into a thrift store now and seeing used clothes being sold at or even above retail prices. I used to rely on thrift stores for jeans because buying them new and then still having to alter them to fit properly was too expensive and not worth it. Now, they're just as expensive at a lot of thrift stores around me. It's cheaper to buy them on eBay. Eating whole, minimally processed foods. Poor people used to buy fresh produce and prepare it themselves. Now poor people don't have the time to prepare food as they're overworked. Bleached flour took extra work and was a luxury. Now Wonder Bread is cheap as dirt. Large mobile phones. Minuscule tiny ones were cutting edge 25 years ago. If you couldn't afford one, you had to carry a phone the size of a brick. Now people pay extra to carry that brick. Very thin bricks, much smaller and lighter than those big phones. Phones started to get bigger again when you could watch porn on it. Driving Toyotas. They used to be the affordable import that working families bought because it was cheap and cheerful. Now 4Runners are $80K unobtainium, driven by portfolio managers and attorneys who like to cosplay with Molly panels and Max tracks. No kidding, I last bought a Camry for $16,000. Now they cost double, if not tripled that. Salmon. It was a staple of many diets throughout history due to being pretty widespread and easy to catch. Overfishing caused the wild population to crash and turned it into a rarity and a luxury. Then salmon. Farming made it easier to find and turned it into more of a commonplace, if still somewhat expensive meal. The price of salmon nowadays means we're choosing other fish to eat. I'm leery of mentioning any particular kind because it may become unaffordable too. Smoking a brisket. In the 90s, you could get a brisket for 99 cents per pound, pretty much any time in my college town. Sometimes there would be a coupon that would bring it down to 50 cents. Barbecue of any sort. It all came from cheap cuts and trying to figure out how to make them more edible. Pork ribs are another easy example. Subscribe and like. And write in the comments what, in your opinion, was previously considered a sign of poverty and has now become a symbol of wealth. See you!